Okay, we're going to have a look at the 2017 ordinary level suspense account question. Again, you have a trial balance failing to agree, and the difference, whatever that hidden number is, entered into a suspense account. On examination of the books, the following 5 errors were revealed. We're going to correct these errors, enter those corrections in the general journal, and then we're going to correct the net profit, which currently is standing at 16,800, but will be different when we do our corrections. So here's our setup. I have the answers pre-written in here, but I'm going to show you how we got it in each case. So number 1 says the total of the sales book, 16,500, has been posted to the sales account as 15,600. So that's an error of arithmetic or arithmetic error because they have put the number in wrong. They've jumbled up the 5 and the 6. So what should have happened here, sales of course should go on the credit side because they're an income, and indeed they have got on the credit side, but just the wrong amount. So it should have been 16,500, but instead they posted it as, what actually happened here is they posted it as 15,600. Now, our task is to say, well, how do we make this 15,600 up to this 16,500? What do we need to do? Well, of course, I think we need to make it bigger. So therefore, something is going to go on the credit side or on the same side to make it bigger. And how much bigger? Well, it's going to be 900 bigger. So therefore, on the credit side here, you put 900, and that is the correction that is required. This column here is the figure which goes in the general journal. So therefore, you go to the general journal and you say 900 on the credit side. You have nothing to bounce that off. So therefore, you must write in a suspense of 900 on the debit side. And that is a correction of the error of the sales book total posted incorrectly. That's how you get that 900 suspense there. Number 2. Very similar, actually, number 2 in this question. It says the sales returns book has been under-totted by 600. Now, under-totted means under-added by 600. So therefore, it's a little bit difficult to show you what actually happened here. But sales returns, what should have happened is, now sales returns are on the debit side because, of course, they're the opposite of sales and they're an expense for a business. So it should have been 600 greater than it is. It's currently whatever number it is, it's an X amount, whatever it might be, it should have been 600 more than that. We're not told exactly what it is, but it should have been more than that. So therefore, how do we rectify that? Well, we just add on the 600 to the debit side because it should have been 600 greater. So we add on that 600. This goes to the general journal. We have nothing to bounce that 600 off, so therefore it creates a suspense account of 600 there. Correction of the under-totting of the sales returns account. Number 3, we've seen this in the 2015 question as well. Number 3, it says goods purchased from Mary Smith had been entered in Martin Smith's account. So it's a creditor, but we've just got the name wrong because they were similar names. So goods purchased for €650. Well, purchases goes on the debit side always of our own account, and then it will go on the credit side of whoever this is. Now, it should have been Mary, so that's 650 on the debit side here, it goes on the credit side. That's what should have happened. What actually happened is the 650 did go into purchases, but instead it was credited to or entered in Martin's account, which is 650 there. Okay, this guy, we did not buy anything off him, so we should not owe him 650. Instead, so how do we correct this? Well, you're going to cancel that 650 from Martin Smith because we don't owe him anything. We wish to bring his account back to zero. And instead, we're going to put 650 up here to Mary's account because we do owe her 650. You don't need to change purchases because purchases was right. It was correct all along. And that is a credit of 650 in Mary's account and a debit of 650 in Martin's account, and that is a correction of purchases recorded in the wrong creditor's account. Number 4, it says interest received €300 by check has not been entered in the books. Now, the clues are in the question here. Interest received means we need an interest account. And if it's received by check, then we would have put that in the bank account. So those are the two accounts we need. And it has not been entered in the books. Okay, so therefore, we're going to enter this in. What should have happened? Well, if it's interest received, then that would be €300 on the credit side because it's an income, and then we would lodge that lovely check into our bank account and it would go like that. What actually happened is that nothing happened. There is zero entry there in what actually happened. So how do we correct that? Well, you simply put in what should have been. So it's a straight transfer across from there to there. So you're going to put 300 in there and 300 in there and interest received. And that's the numbers that you transfer in here. And this balances against this. No suspense required because this is an error of omission. It was completely left out. Correction of the error of omission of interest received. Number 5, the last one. Goods for resale taken by Claire Fennelly for private use has again not been entered in the accounts. When you see that phrase, not entered in the books or in the accounts, you know that's an error of omission. And when you know that's an error of omission, it means that it has just been completely left out. So, all we need to do is put in what it should have been. Now, if it's goods for resale, that's purchases. And if it was taken for her own private use, then that's drawings. So those purchases, that €800, maybe clothing or whatever it might be, that she took for her own use, you take it out of purchases and you put it into drawings. That's what should have happened. Of course, what happened is that nothing happened. It wasn't recorded. So therefore, you put that 800, you replicate the first column in the third, 800 in purchases and 800 in drawings on those appropriate sides. And then you bring that across here, and that is €800 worth of stock being removed from the business and put into drawings. Correction of the error of drawings of stock omitted from the accounts. Each time you have to put in that narrative. Now that is our 5 corrections journalized. The blue column to the right hand side of the screen is the general journal, and these entries will also have effect elsewhere. Sales, that is an extra sale which we weren't aware of. So therefore, that's obviously going to increase our net profit. And sales returns, that's an extra sale return which we weren't aware of. That might decrease our profit a little bit because it's on the debit side, and so on and so forth. Some of these things, Martin and Mary Smith, for example, and the bank figure here affect the balance sheet because they are debtors or creditors or current assets or liabilities. So therefore, they will not affect the net profit and they will not affect our Part B. They would only affect the balance sheet. They come after the net profit. So instead, what we need to do is we need to go to here, and I'll show you how to do this. Our original net profit, and remember our rule here, our very important rule. We add any credits because credits here might be an extra income or it might be a reduced expense. Either way, it's going to help our net profit. And we subtract any debits because a debit here will be either a new expense or perhaps a reduced income. Either way, that's going to bring down our net profit. Now, you only do that with items which are affecting the net profit. In other words, which are on page 1 of your accounts, but not on the balance sheet, because the balance sheet comes after the net profit. Those effects would take place down here. So when we go back to our journal for a moment to check, we can see that in number 1, we did have sales and suspense. Now, suspense is irrelevant to the net profit, but sales is very much relevant. So that's 900 on the credit side. So therefore, you go sales, earn number 1 to make sure we reference it, and it's a plus 900. We had sales returns on number 2, but it was a debit, so that's a minus 600. It's reducing our net profit. And then if we check number 3, we didn't have any effect on our net profit because they were both creditors, both on the balance sheet. On number 4, the bank is a balance sheet item, but interest received, that is going to be affecting the net profit. Now that's on the credit side, so it is going to be added, and so too is this purchases on the credit side. So it's going to be added. So you go back to and you go interest received, number 4, it's a plus 300 because it was on the credit side, and purchases, number 5, it's a plus 800 because it was on the credit side. Remember, add any credits. And then you take that number and you add 3 and subtract 1, and your corrected net profit is 18,200. Now, when we get to the higher level ones, then you will be asked also to do some corrections on your balance sheet. And down here, you will be putting in your new net profit of 18,200, and you'll get a new capital employed number, and it will balance perfectly, hopefully. Thank you.